My name is Lillian Hayes. I am 55 years old. And there is one night that marked my life forever. That night, I understood that a mother can raise a son for 30 years and lose him in 30 seconds. It all started with a call from my son, Andrew. His voice sounded different, more distant, but I didn't want to see it. He told me he was celebrating the birthday of my grandson, Leo, who was turning 6. Of course, I was going to go, a 12-hour drive from Dallas to Miami. But he was my grandson. He was my blood. I remember before leaving, I took the framed photograph I always kept in my living room. Andrew, at 6 years old, the same face Leo has now with those big eyes and that mischievous smile. I put it in my suitcase along with the gift I had wrapped with so much care. A photo album I had prepared for months full of memories of our family. 12 hours on the bus. 12 hours thinking about my grandson's hug. About the look on Andrew's face when he saw me arrive. I arrived at 0 inches the evening. The house was full of blue and silver balloons. I heard children's laughter inside. I rang the doorbell with my heart pounding hard. Andrew opened the door. He didn't smile. "Mom, what are you doing here?" Those 5 words cut through me like a knife. But I smiled because a mother always smiles when something hurts. "Well, I came to see my grandson. It's his birthday." Before I could say more, I heard heels clicking on the hardwood floor. It was Chloe, my daughter-in-law. She planted herself in front of me with her arms crossed, her face red with fury. "Andrew, did you tell your mother to come?" I mentioned the birthday to her. "But this can't be happening." Her voice rose so loud that the children inside stopped laughing. "Either she leaves or I leave. I'm not going to share my house with this woman." My son looked at me. I looked at him. And in that moment, I saw something in his eyes I had never seen before. Fear. But not fear of losing me. Fear of losing her. "Mom." His voice trembled. Maybe it's better if you go." The world stopped. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just squeezed the suitcase against my chest, where I still carried that photograph and the album that never made it into my grandson's hands. "It's fine, son," I said with a calmness I didn't feel. "I'll go." I walked toward the street. I heard the door close behind me. I didn't turn around. That night I slept in a hotel near the terminal. I cried everything I hadn't cried in front of them. But something inside me changed that night. Something broke, and something else began to awaken. A week later, my phone rang at 0 inches the morning. It was Andrew. His voice sounded desperate. "Mom. Mom. Are you there?" "Yes." "Son. I'm here." "Mom. I need your help. It's urgent. I need $50,000. It's life or death." I remained silent. $50,000, half of my life savings from working as a teacher. "What do you need it for?" "Son, I can't explain now. Just please. You've always been there for me. This time, too. Right? I closed my eyes. I saw his face in that doorway. I heard his words. Maybe it's better if you go. And then I said 5 words. Only 5. 5 words that would change everything. But that I'll tell you later. Sometimes we trust too much in the wrong people. Have you also been disappointed by someone you loved? Tell me your story in the comments. I want to read them. Before I tell you what I said to my son that morning, I need you to understand something. I loved Andrew before he was born. When I was 25 and pregnant with him, my husband Michael left me. He disappeared one October morning with a younger woman, leaving me alone with a 7-month belly and a broken heart. But I never told Andrew that. I didn't want him to carry that pain. I raised him alone. I worked a double shift as an elementary school teacher, teaching classes in the morning and tutoring in the afternoon. Andrew was my entire world. I remember mornings in our little house in Dallas. I would prepare coffee and blueberry muffins, and he would run down the stairs with his backpack on backward, always running late. I would braid his hair when he was little, clean his scraped knees, hug him when he had nightmares. "Mom, you're never going to leave, right?" he asked me once when he was 8 years old. "Never. My love. Moms never leave." On Sundays, we would go to the farmer's market. He would carry the bags, even though they were bigger than him. He would help me choose the ripe tomatoes, always choosing the brightest ones. Then we would sit in the park to eat ice cream. Vanilla for him, strawberry for me. I took that photograph I carried to Miami on one of those Sundays. Andrew was 6, the same age as Leo. Now he was smiling, showing the gap where he had lost a tooth. Behind him, you could see the magnolia tree in the park. That day, he told me, "Mom, when I grow up, I'm going to buy you a huge house so you never have to work so hard." I kept that promise in my heart like a treasure. I watched him grow. I watched him become a good, responsible man. He studied business administration, got a good job in Miami. I was so proud. He met Chloe at a business conference. At first, she was charming to me. She called me her mom-in-law, sent me pictures of my newborn grandson. But something changed after the first year of marriage. The calls became shorter. The visits were cancelled. Andrew always had an excuse. Too much work. Chloe wasn't feeling well. The boy was sick. I didn't say anything. A mother knows when to stay quiet. But that night at the door of his house, when he asked me to leave, when he chose Chloe over me after a 12-hour drive, something broke inside me. It wasn't just the humiliation. It was the realization that the boy who carried my grocery bags, the one who promised me a big house, the one who hugged me during nightmares, no longer existed. In his place was a man who closed the door in my face in front of his wife and son. That week after returning to Dallas was the darkest of my life. I sat in my living room looking at that same framed photograph. Andrew at 6, Leo at 6, the same face. but the same heart. At night, I wondered where I had gone wrong. Had I indulged him too much? Hadn't I taught him to value sacrifice? Or had I simply raised a son who only learned to love me when it was convenient for him? And then that morning, the phone rang. His desperate voice. $50,000 urgent. And I, looking at that photograph in my living room, understood something that broke my soul and freed me at the same time. Sometimes the person you love the most is the one who needs to learn the most. As I tell all this, I think about where you might be listening to me. Write the name of your city in the comments. Now that I think about it clearly, the first fracture wasn't that night in Miami. It was much earlier. So subtle I almost didn't see it. It was at Andrew and Chloe's wedding 7 years ago. I had saved for 2 years to help them with the ceremony. It wasn't much, but it was all I had. $20,000 that I kept in a yellow envelope inside my dresser. I gave it to Andrew 3 months before the wedding. Son, this is for you and Chloe to get you started right. He hugged me. He cried. He told me I was the best mother in the world. But when the wedding day arrived, something strange happened. Chloe had organized everything. The ballroom, the flowers, the music. It was a beautiful wedding, I'll admit. But when it came time for the ceremony, I sat in the 3rd row. The third, the groom's mother. In the 3rd row. In the 1st row were Chloe's parents, Mr. Upser and Mrs. Peterson, in their elegant suits and perfect smiles. In the 2nd row, the wedding party, and me in the back. Andrew didn't say anything, and neither did I. During the party, Chloe introduced me to her friends. This is Lily, Andrew's mom. She works at a little school in Dallas. A little school. As if my 30-year career was something small, insignificant. But what hurt the most was the first dance. Traditionally, the groom first dances with his mother, but Chloe insisted on changing the order. Andrew danced with her first, then with Chloe's mother, and finally with me. 2 minutes. We danced. 2 minutes. Mom, you look beautiful, he said as we spun. Thank you, son. Chloe wanted everything to be modern. You know, less traditional. It's fine. Son, it's your day. I lied. It wasn't fine. But a mother learns to smile even when her heart aches. After the wedding, things changed faster. Andrew called me less. When I called him, he was always busy. Chloe was always there in the background saying something I couldn't quite hear. When Leo was born, I traveled to Miami to meet him. I stayed at their house for only 3 days. Chloe made it clear that my help wasn't needed. Lily, I have everything under control. Besides, my mom is coming tomorrow. Chloe's mom stayed for 3 weeks. For Leo's first birthday, they had a big party. I brought a gift. A stuffed teddy bear I had hand-knitted for months. Chloe received it with a cold smile. How lovely. Lily. We'll put it away. I never saw Leo with that teddy bear. Christmas became a negotiation. I invited Andrew to spend the holidays in Dallas. He always had an excuse. Mom, this year we're going to the Caribbean with Chloe's family. Mom, Leo is too little to travel. Mom, next year is better. Next year never came. Little by little, my son drifted away. Not with cruel words, not with yelling. He simply faded out of my life like smoke. And I let it happen. Because I thought that if I stayed quiet, if I didn't complain, if I didn't bother him, he would come back. But he didn't. Until that night of Leo's birthday, when I decided I had waited long enough. When I took my savings, bought that bus ticket, and travelled 12 hours to see my grandson. And my son closed the door in my face. That week after returning to Dallas, I cried. I cried for all the years I stayed quiet. For all the times I swallowed my pain not to inconvenience him. For believing that my silence would buy his love. And then that call came at 2:00 inches the morning. $50,000. Mom, you've always been there for me. This time, too. Right? I stared at the ceiling of my room. I thought about the third row at his wedding. About the teddy bear my grandson never used. About the Christmases I spent alone. About that door that closed in my face. And I thought, how long? How long must a mother give without receiving anything in return? How long must she stay quiet while they treat her as if she doesn't matter? I took a deep breath, and then I said those 5 words. I want to be honest with you. I wasn't a perfect mother. But I was a mother who loved too much. And that was my mistake. After that wedding, when I saw the signs that I was losing my son, I tried everything to get him back. But every attempt dragged me down further. I called Andrew every Sunday. If he didn't answer, I waited. If he answered and sounded annoyed, I would cut the conversation short. I learned to ask, "How is my grandson?" Carefully. "Good." "Mom, growing up." "And you? How's work?" "Everything's fine." "Busy." "I have to go." 3-minute conversations. That was all that was left of us. Chloe posted everything on social media. I saw the pictures. Leo at the beach with Grandma Martha. Andrew hugging Chloe's parents on Christmas family gatherings where I was never present, and I liked every photo. I commented, "So beautiful. Blessings." As if that would bring me closer to them. Once on Andrew's birthday, I sent a cake to his office. Chocolate with strawberries. His favourite since he was a child. It cost almost $900 to send it from Dallas to Miami. But I wanted him to know I was thinking of him. He sent me a message 2 days later. "Thanks. Mom." 2 words. I replied, "I love you. Son. I hope you had a beautiful day." He never answered. But I kept trying because that's what mothers do. Right? We keep loving even if they ignore us. We keep calling even if they don't answer. We keep giving even if we never receive. On Christmas 2 years ago, I decided to make one last effort. I saved for months and bought plane tickets to go to Miami. 3 days. That's all. I didn't want to bother them. I called Andrew to tell him. Son, I bought tickets to visit you for Christmas. Just 3 days. I want to see Leo. There was a long silence. Mom, this year is going to be complicated. Why? Son, it's only 3 days. Well, Chloe, you know, has plans with her family. And the house is small. And I can stay in a hotel. Son, I just want to see you all. Another silence. Let me talk to Chloe and I'll call you back. He never told me anything. The tickets expired. I spent that Christmas alone, looking at the photograph of Andrew at 6 years old, wondering where that boy who hugged me and told me I was his favorite mom had gone. But even then, I didn't give up. I sent gifts to Leo every month. Clothes, toys, books. Chloe would receive them and send a brief thanks via text. Never a photo of Leo using them. Never a video call so I could watch him open the presents. My friends told me, Lily, why do you keep insisting? That boy doesn't appreciate you. He's my son, I replied. Sons go through phases. He'll get over it. But he didn't get over it. And I became smaller. I stopped calling so much. I stopped asking. I stopped sending gifts that no one appreciated. I became a shadow in my own son's life, waiting for crumbs of his attention. That's why when I heard about Leo's birthday, something woke up in me. A little voice that said, go do it for yourself. Don't wait for an invitation that will never come. I bought that bus ticket. 12 hours of travel. I wrapped that photo album with all the love I had saved up. And I went because I still believed that if he saw me, if he looked me in the eyes, he would remember. He would remember all the times I stayed up late caring for him when he was sick. He would remember the sacrifices. He would remember that I was his mother. But when he opened that door and said, Mom, what are you doing here? When he asked me to leave while Chloe yelled. When I heard that door slam shut, I knew the truth. It wasn't a phase. He wasn't going to change. My son had chosen, and I was not his choice. I returned to Dallas. I put that photograph away in a drawer. I couldn't look at it anymore without feeling pain. And then a week later, the phone rang at 2:00 the morning. Mom, I need $50,000. It's urgent. There he was again, looking for me only when he needed me. And I, sitting in the darkness of my room, understood something. A mother's love shouldn't be an ATM. It shouldn't be something you only look for when you need money or help. Love should be reciprocity, respect, presence. And I no longer had any of that from my son. So I took a deep breath and I said those 5 words. I still wonder if I did the right thing. And you, what would you have done in my place? Mom, please. I need that money. It's life or death. His voice sounded desperate. Broken. Like when he was a child and came crying because he had fallen off his bicycle. But he wasn't a child anymore. He was a 30-year-old man who had closed the door in my face just a week ago. Life or death? I asked, keeping my calm. Explain it to me. Andrew. It's complicated. Chloe and I have problems. Financial ones. We invested in a business that went bad. We're being sued. If we don't pay in 3 days, we're going to lose the house. The house? That house where I wasn't allowed to enter on my grandson's birthday. And why don't you get a loan from the bank? I already tried. They rejected us. Mom, only you can help us. You know, if I had any other option, I wouldn't be calling you. If I had any other option. Those words stuck in my chest like thorns. So, I'm your last option. Son. Not your mother. Not the person who raised you alone, who worked double shifts to give you a career. I'm just your last option when everyone else told you no. Mom, it's not that. I did. You call Chloe's parents? They have money. I've seen them in the photos. The trips. The restaurants. Silence. They already helped us last year. We can't ask them for more. But you can ask me even though you humiliated me a week ago. Even though you didn't even let me see my grandson. Mom, I'm sorry. Really? Chloe was upset about something else. And I'm sorry. But now I need you to help me. We're family. We're family. I got out of bed and walked to the window. Outside, Dallas was sleeping. The streets were empty. I thought about those $50,000, half of everything I had saved. 30 years of working. 30 years of sacrifice. And what about Chloe? I asked. Does she know you're calling me? Another silence. No. She's asleep. So, you're calling me in secret. Mom, please don't complicate things. Yes or no? Are you going to help me or not? And there it was. The naked truth. He wasn't calling to apologize. He wasn't calling because he missed me. He wasn't calling because he had finally understood the pain he caused me. He was calling because he needed money. I took a deep breath. I looked toward my room where in the drawer I kept that photograph of him at 6, the boy who promised to take care of me when he grew up. The boy who no longer existed. Andrew, I said with a voice that was no longer pleading. Hurt. Or submissive. Do you remember your wedding? What, Mom? What are you talking about? Your wedding? I gave you $20,000, all my savings at that time. So you could start your life with Chloe. Yes. Mom. And I thanked you. You sat me in the 3rd row. You danced with me for 2 minutes. And Chloe introduced me as the one from the little school in Dallas. Mom, that was years ago. Why are you bringing that up now? Because I need you to understand something. Son, for 7 years, I've given you everything without asking for anything in return. Calls you don't answer. Gifts no one appreciates. Christmases you cancel. And when I finally gathered the courage to go see you, you kicked me out of your house. Mom, I haven't finished. Now you come asking me for $50,000, half of everything I have. And you don't even have the courage to tell your wife you're calling me. Mom, please. I promise this time will be different. When I get out of this, things are going to change. I swear. The promises of a desperate son. The same promises I had heard for years. Did you know I kept the photo album I brought for Leo? I told him. It never made it into his hands. I brought it back in my suitcase. I spent months making it. Photos of you when you were a child. Photos of us. Our history. I thought that way my grandson would know who his grandmother is. Mom, we can talk about that later. Now, I need an answer. Yes or no? Yes or no? As if my love, my sacrifice, my pain, everything was reduced to two options. Son, I'm going to tell you something, and I want you to listen carefully. Are you going to help me? I've spent my whole life helping you. Now, it's time for you to learn something. What? What am I going to learn? Mom, that my own mother is turning her back on me when I need her most? No. Son, you're going to learn that actions have consequences. That you reap what you sow. That respect isn't begged for. It's earned. So, you're not going to help me? His voice sounded incredulous, as if he couldn't believe what he was hearing. And then, looking out that window, feeling the weight of 30 years of unrequited love, I said those 5 words. The same 5 words that would change everything. 5 words my son never expected to hear from my mouth. Reap what you have sown. Son. 5 words. Only 5. But I felt the air between us split in 2. What? His voice was a whisper. What did you say? I said. Reap what you have sown. Are you telling me no? I'm telling you that for 30 years I sowed love in you. And for the last 7, I've only harvested forgetfulness. Now it's your turn to harvest. Son. The silence on the other end of the line was so profound I could hear my own heart beating. 1, 2, 3 seconds. 10, 20. I can't believe this, he finally said. And his voice was no longer pleading. It was cold. Hard. I can't believe my own mother is doing this to me. I'm doing this to you? Something broke inside me. Me. Andrew, I'm the one who's doing something to you. I'm going to lose my house. My son is going to be out on the street. And you give me fortune cookie phrases. Your son. My grandson. The boy you wouldn't let me see on his birthday. That was different. Chloe was upset. She's always upset. And you always choose her. Always. So now face the consequences of your choices. He stopped. He took a breath. When he spoke again, his voice trembled with suppressed rage. All my life, you told me, A mother is always there for her children. Always. No conditions. That's what you taught me. And I was there always. But you, son, were you there for me? When was the last time you asked me how I was? When was the last time you called me without needing something? I don't have time for this. I need that money now. No. That word so short, so simple, so liberating. No, he repeated as if he didn't understand the meaning. Just like that. No. Just like that. No. Then let it be clear. Mom, if you don't help me now, don't ever look for me again. Don't call again. Don't send gifts no one wants. It's over. My heart stopped. Those words were the final threat. The ultimatum. Him or nothing. But instead of feeling fear, I felt something strange. I felt peace. It's fine, son, I said with a calmness that surprised me. If that's the price of my dignity, I'll pay it. What? That I accept. If our relationship depended on how much money I could give you, then we never had a real relationship. So, go ahead. End it. You're crazy. You were always dramatic. But this is... You know what? Andrew, for 30 years, I carried the guilt of your father abandoning us. I thought if I gave you everything, if I loved you twice as much, if I filled that void, you would never feel that pain. Don't bring my father into this. But I was wrong. I didn't make you stronger. I made you dependent. I taught you that Mum was always going to be there to rescue you, to give you what you needed, to ask nothing in return. And that's how you raised a man who believes love is begged for, but never given. You don't know anything about me. I know I closed every door in my life so you could open yours. I know I worked myself to exhaustion so you wouldn't know poverty. I know I stayed alone every Christmas so I wouldn't inconvenience your new life. That I know. If you sacrifice so much, why are you throwing it in my face now? I'm not throwing it in your face. Son, I'm just telling you that I'm no longer going to keep giving without receiving even respect. I'm no longer going to keep begging for crumbs of your attention. I'm no longer going to keep being invisible in your life until you need money. This is incredible. You know what? Chloe was right about you. Those words like knives. What did Chloe say about me? That you were manipulative. That you always played the victim. That you used guilt to control me. And she was right. All this is manipulation too. To what, Andrew? Tell me, what would I gain by manipulating you? Silence. Chloe says you want to separate me from her. That you never liked her. That you've always tried to sabotage our marriage. I sat on the edge of my bed. My legs were shaking. Not from fear. From indignation. From pain. From that brutal clarity that comes when you finally see the truth. Andrew, listen to me well, because I'm only going to say this once. I don't want to separate you. I'm not sabotaging anything. I just wanted to be a part of your life, to be my grandson's grandmother. to have a relationship with you. That was all. But Chloe decided I was a threat. And you let her decide for you. She's my wife and I am your mother. Why does that mean less? Because she's here with me every day. Because she's my family now. I am your family, too. Or I was. Mom. No. We're done. You said if I didn't help you not to look for you again. Fine. I won't. But I want you to know something. This isn't revenge. It's not punishment. It's simply letting go. Letting go of someone who let go first a long time ago. I can't believe you're so selfish. Selfish, son? I've spent my whole life being selfless. Giving you everything. Putting you first. This is the first time in 30 years that I've chosen myself. And if that's selfishness, then yes, I'm selfish. You're going to regret this. No. Son, I've already regretted many things. Staying quiet when I should have spoken. Begging when I should have walked away. Giving when I should have set boundaries. But I won't regret this. When I lose my house. When my son suffers. It will be your fault. Those words tried to wound me. They tried to make me doubt. They tried to activate that maternal guilt I had carried all my life. But something had changed in me that night. No. Andrew. It's not my fault. It's yours. You made bad investments. You decided to live beyond your means. You chose not to ask for help until it was too late. I have nothing to do with your decisions, and I'm no longer going to bear the consequences of them. His voice broke. You're a bad mother. And there it was. The final stab. For a second, those words tore me apart. My whole life had been about being a mother. It was my identity, my purpose. And my son was telling me I was bad at the one thing I had tried to be good at. But then I remembered. I remembered the sleepless nights when he was sick. The meals I didn't eat so he could have more. The dreams I abandoned to pay for his college. The tears I swallowed so he would smile. If being a good mother means letting myself be disrespected, then yes. Andrew, I'm a bad mother and I am at peace with that. Don't call me again. I won't. Seriously. Are you going to let it end like this? You ended this 7 years ago. Son, I'm just accepting what you decided a long time ago. Goodbye. Mom. Goodbye. Andrew. I hung up the phone and I stayed there, sitting in the darkness of my room with the phone still in my hand. I didn't cry. I expected to cry. I expected to feel that sharp pain I always felt when he pulled away from me. But it didn't come. Instead, I felt something different. Something I hadn't felt in years. I felt lightness. As if I had dropped a weight I had been carrying for so long that I no longer remembered what it was like to walk without it. I got up. I walked to my dresser. I took out the drawer where I had kept the photograph of Andrew at 6. I looked at it under the moonlight coming through my window. That beautiful boy. That boy who hugged me and told me I was his favorite mom. That boy who carried my grocery bags and promised me a big house. That boy no longer existed, and it was okay. I kissed the photograph and I put it in a box at the back of the closet. I didn't throw it away. I never could. But I no longer needed to see it every day. I needed to remember who I was. Lillian Hayes, 55 years old. Teacher. Woman. Mother. Yes, but also something more. Someone who was worth more than crumbs. Someone who deserved respect. Someone who had finally learned to say no. That night, I slept soundly for the first time in years. I didn't know what would come next. I didn't know if my son would return. I didn't know if I would ever truly know my grandson. But I knew one thing for sure. I was no longer going to beg for love. I was no longer going to beg for attention. I was no longer going to be invisible in anyone's life. I had recovered something I had lost a long time ago. My dignity. If this story touches you, please subscribe and share the video to help me grow better. The days after that call were strange. I woke up every morning expecting to feel that familiar ache in my chest. That emptiness that had always been there since Andrew distanced himself from me. But in its place, there was something different. It wasn't happiness. It wasn't sadness either. It was a kind of calm, like when a storm ends and the air smells different. I continued my routine. I got up at 6, 0 inches the morning. I prepared my coffee. I looked out the window at the streets of Dallas. Waking up, I went to school. I taught my classes. I came home. But something had changed in me. I walked straighter. I spoke more clearly. I smiled differently. My co-workers noticed. "Lily, you look good," said Sarah, my friend and colleague of 30 years. "Different. What happened?" "Nothing," I replied. "I just let go of something that wasn't for me anymore." She looked at me with those wise eyes that only women who have lived a lot have. "It was your son, wasn't it?" I nodded. "Do you want to talk about it? Maybe someday." "Right now, I just want to live." And that's what I did. For the first time in years, I lived for myself. But 3 days after that call, things started to get complicated. Chloe called me. I saw her name on my phone screen. And my first instinct was not to answer. But something told me that I should close this chapter completely. "Hello," I answered. "Lily." Her voice was cold as ice. "I need to talk to you." "Hello. Chloe. How are you? How am I? I'm furious." "Do you know what you just did? I have an idea." "You denied money to your own son. Your own family. Do you know we're going to lose our house? Do you know Leo is going to suffer because of your selfishness?" I took a deep breath. The old Lillian would have started to apologize, to explain herself, to justify herself, but that Lillian no longer existed. "Chloe, Andrew told you why I told him no. He told me you refused to help him when he needed you most." that you told him to reap what he sowed. Very nice of you. By the way, did he tell you what happened 2 weeks ago at Leo's birthday? Silence. That was a misunderstanding. It wasn't a misunderstanding. Chloe, you yelled that either I left or you left. And my son chose. He closed the door in my face after I traveled 12 hours to see my grandson. So when he called me asking for money a week later, I decided enough was enough. You are his mother. Mothers are supposed to forgive, and sons are supposed to respect. But that didn't happen. Did it? Look. Lily. Her tone changed. It softened artificially. I know we've had our differences. And I'm sorry. Truly. But this is bigger than our personal problems. This is about Leo. Your grandson. Are you really going to let him suffer? And there it was. The card I knew they would play. The child. My grandson. The guilt. Holly, if you're in financial trouble, there are many options. You can sell the SUV. You can move to a smaller apartment. You can ask your parents for help. Who, as I understand it, have more resources than I do. But I am not going.